Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Sonal and Malishka decided to kill Lakshmi using Sonal's boyfriend Ashish, but as they were about to eat Lakshmi, they missed. So let's continue from there. Ashish and Sonal missed the chance to eat Lakshmi with the car. Ashish tells Sonal that he will take a U-turn and he will do the work again. Sonal says let's meet Malishka first. Kiran comes there in her car and she thinks to save Lakshmi because only then will Malishka be saved. Bhavinda thinks that why did Sonal call me here and Malishka is not picking my call. He calls Malishka and thinks that Malishka is a number one selfish girl and he thinks that he would go in front of her. Malishka meets Ashish and Sonal and says if he cannot do this work, then leave it. And Ashish says I am doing the work on Sonal's sayings. Malishka says to Ashish and Sonal that I know Lakshmi's luck and her luck is with her always. She says even today Lakshmi got saved and it is a sign that we should not do this. Ashish asks Sonal if she knows why Malishka is not successful in her plan since all this while, and it is because victory and defeat cannot go together. Sonal says to Malishka that Lakshmi's good luck is over. Now no mistake would happen because Lakshmi will not be saved. An old lady is standing in front of Kiran's car and crossing the road. Kiran thinks that it will be too late until this lady crosses the road and she get down from the car and started walking on the road. Malishka is in her car driving and she tells Sonal, who is in another car, that Lakshmi should not die, else I will be jailed. Sonal says I will move risk from your way. Rishi and your marriage is my responsibility and I will get it done grandly. Kiran thinks to inform Lakshmi that her life is in danger and she thinks that her phone is in the car, so she herself should go and inform Lakshmi about the danger. Ayush comes to Rishi and asks him to check the file. He gets Shalu's call and he asks Rishi to see the file until he attends to the call. Rishi asks that who is calling. Ayush says Shah, but then he stops. Rishi asks if it is Shatru Khan. Ayush says no. Rishi asks Ayush to go and attend to Shalu's call and Ayush smiles. Kiran is walking behind Ashish and Sonal's car and she calls Lakshmi aloud, but Lakshmi couldn't hear her. Sonal hides in the car and Kiran runs to Lakshmi. Malishka sees Kiran and says what is mom doing here? Ashish says Lakshmi's destiny is not good and she is gone today and he begins to drive the car fast. Shalu asks Ayush why he did not call her because she was restless. Ayush says restless and all and he asks if Shalu was missing him. Shalu says I have called you. Ayush says I'm feeling as if we are talking after many errors. Shalu asks him to work and says we will talk later. Ayush says talking to you is working too. And Shalu teases Ayush, calling him a lover, and she ends the call. Ayush smiles and Shalu also smiles, and Ayush thinks that we have talked and says Shalu is a nice girl. Lakshmi owed the girl walking on the road for whom she had bought the balloons. The balloons come in front of Ashish's car, and Sonal asks Ashish to be careful. Kiran is coming to Lakshmi and she sleeps, but Lakshmi owed her hand before she falls down, and Ashish then hits Kiran with the car instead of Lakshmi, and Kiran gets injured. The people standing on the road stops the car, and Lakshmi cries, asking Kiran to open her eyes. Rishi comes to the window of his office and hears Lakshmi shouting for help. Malishka stands there in shock, seeing her mother bleeding, and she cried. Rishi thinks that whose accident has happened, and he thinks to check. Lakshmi cries and says, someone please call the ambulance. Malishka calls the ambulance. Lakshmi asks someone to help her. Malishka comes running there and says, open your eyes, mom. Rishi comes there and sees people knocking on the car. Sonal says, I don't want to go to jail, and she asks Ashish to drive off before Rishi comes there, and she sees Rishi coming there. Malishka thinks that she will not spare Ashish and Sonal for doing this, and she sees Lakshmi tying cloth on Kiran's head to stop her bleeding. Ayush comes to the road and he is about to get hit by Ashish's car, but he gets saved and he looks at the number plate. Rishi, Lakshmi, Malishka and Ayush take Kiran to the hospital. The doctor asks the nurse to take her to the operation theatre. Lakshmi asks if she will be fine, and the doctor says we cannot tell now. Malishka hugs Rishi and cries, and Rishi says your mom will be fine. Sonal asks Ashish to stop the car and she gets down from the car. Ashish says it is not our mistake. Sonal says it is not auntie's mistake either. I hope she is fine. Ashish says she came in front of the car suddenly. If she had not come there, then Malishka's life would have been sorted, and Sonal worries. Karishma, Virendra and Neelam comes to the hospital. They ask Rishi what happened. Rishi says, before I went there, Malishka and Lakshmi were there. Malishka cries and Lakshmi tells them everything. Sonal says, how will I face Malishka now? Ashish says, I feel that auntie wanted to meet Lakshmi, and Sonal says maybe she has gone there to save Lakshmi. The doctor comes out and says the surgery is fine, else she can go into coma. Malishka asked the doctor to make her mother fine anyhow, and she cried. But Neelam asked Malishka to handle herself. Malishka asked, should I go inside? If I see her, then she will be fine. The doctor says only one person can go inside, and Malishka runs inside. And Neelam says it is Malishka's pain for her mother. Malishka asks Kiran to open her eyes, and she asks, what will I do without you? The nurse comes there and asks Malishka to let the patient rest. Malishka says, I know that you cannot see my tears, so please get up for me. Neelam asks Rishi that did you file a complaint against the person that did this accident? Rishi says yes, and says the inspector is here. Lakshmi tells the inspector that she was taking food for Rishi, and she tells the inspector everything. The inspector asks about the color and the design of the car. Lakshmi says it was a silver color car. Ayush says I know, and he tells the inspector everything about the car and says he will try harder to recollect the car number plate. The inspector says we have to take the patient's statement too. Neelam asks Rishi to be with Malishka. Rishi says yes mom, I will be with her. Sonal says, how do I ask Malishka that how is auntie? She says she hopes that auntie is fine. Ashish asks if she is still Sonal, and Sonal says so what? She says Malishka is her best friend and she calls Malishka. Malishka refused to pick Sonal's call. Ashish says we were doing Malishka's work, so what do we do if her mother came in front of the car? Malishka gets angry looking at her mother lying on the bed, and she cried sitting at Kiran's bedside, asking her to open her eyes for her. Rishi comes there and sees Malishka crying, and he goes and sits on the chair outside. The nurse asks Rishi to bring some medicines, and Rishi goes. Malishka gets up and she goes out of the ward. Ashish tells Sonal that he will leave, and Sonal hugs him. Ashish is about to go, but Malishka comes there and eats rod on his head. She eats Ashish again, and Ashish holds her hand and asks, how dare you to eat me? Malishka says you will bear the same feeling as my mom, and she eats him again. Ashish says to Malishka that if you were not Sonal's friend, then I would have shown you how dangerous I can be. Malishka blames Ashish, and then she blames Sonal for her mother's condition. She is about to eat Sonal with her hand, but Ashish holds her hand and asks her not to do this. Sonal tries to make Malishka understand that everything happened in a hurry and says the balloon came in front of the car and then auntie came there instead of Lakshmi, and the car hit auntie, so we did not do anything intentionally, and she apologized to Malishka. Rishi brings the medicine and he looks inside, but he couldn't see Malishka there. Sonal asks Ashish to bring water, and she asks Malishka if they would do this with auntie intentionally. Malishka refused to drink the water, and Sonal says we are your well-wisher and you are blaming us. Rishi comes inside the ward and asks the nurse about Malishka. The nurse says she doesn't know. Rishi thinks that where did Malishka go, leaving auntie alone? Sonal tells Malishka that Ashish would have taken her life for raising her hand on her, but he did not do it because they are her well-wisher. Sonal tells Malishka that auntie's accident happened because of Lakshmi and not because of us. She says auntie had come there to save Lakshmi, and Malishka says mom came to know about our plan. Ashish says that means that your mom is at Lakshmi's side. Malishka says you fool, and says my mom had gone there to save me, thinking that I will go to jail, and that doesn't mean that she is on Lakshmi's side. Sonal says to Malishka that auntie knows that we did it and it is confirmed. She asks that what if she tell everyone? Malishka says my mom will not tell anyone. Ashish says what if she tells someone? Sonal says aunt will not tell anyone about us, and says if she take our name, then we will take Malishka's name too, so relax. Ayush tells Lakshmi that there is something wrong with this accident and says that the car was on full speed, and why was it near the footpath? He says the car driver doesn't know that Kiran will come there suddenly in front of the car. He says the car might want to eat you and not Kiran, and Lakshmi is shocked. Rishi looks at Kiran and thinks that where did Malishka go? Neelam calls Rishi and asks about Kiran. Rishi says she has not regained consciousness till now. Neelam asks Rishi to take care of Malishka, and she asks that how is Malishka? Rishi says Malishka is not here. Neelam says I will come there, and she asks him to be there. Lakshmi asks Ayush that me? She says, for my accident, and says, I don't think that anyone will want to do my accident, and says, you are thinking wrong. Ayush says, okay, if you are saying so. Lakshmi says that Malishka was crying badly, and Kiran is her mother, and says she knows the pain of losing parents, and Lakshmi cries thinking about her parents' death. Lakshmi says to Ayush that I bear the pain of losing my parent and I don't want Malishka to bear this pain. Ayush says you are the only Lakshmi and that Malishka and Kiran have hatred for you and they think bad about you. They blame you for kidnapping and they taunt you so much, but you are still here worrying for Kiran and Malishka. Ayush says to Lakshmi that your kind is just one in this world and he asks her to relax because nothing would happen to Kiran. Rishi still wonders where Malishka is and Malishka returns after polite threatening by Sonal. Malishka asks Rishi that what should they do if their loved ones commit a sin. She asks if they should leave their loved ones for committing a crime or if they should get them punished. Rishi says a sin is a sin and the guilty should be punished. Ashish tells Sonal that nothing should happen to them and he goes, and Sonal thinks that she should do something that she doesn't want to do in order to protect herself and Ashish. Rishi asks Malishka if she knows who did the accident. Malishka says I know, and Rishi says I will call the police so that you can inform them about the person. Malishka recalls and a flashback is shown. Ashish tells Sonal that Malishka should benefit with their plan. Malishka says I was involved in your plan because it was for Lakshmi and at the end, you tried to kill my mom. Sonal says it was an accident and she asks that what are we going to get by harming auntie? Ashish asks Sonal to go and tell the police that they had planned to kill Lakshmi, but it was Malishka's plan. Malishka gets angry. Sonal says we can separate Rishi from Lakshmi, and she asks Malishka to tell the police that Lakshmi pushed auntie deliberately in front of the car, and Malishka is shocked. Sonal asks Malishka to tell the police that she is the eyewitness that Lakshmi pushed her mom in front of the car, and that way, Lakshmi will be out of Rishi's life. Malishka asks that how will I prove it that Lakshmi pushed my mom and says she cannot do it, but Sonal asks her to decide if she wants to win. Malishka asks Sonal that what will I say if the police ask that what was Lakshmi's motive for trying to kill my mom. Sonal says revenge. You will tell the police that Lakshmi hates your mom and she is jealous. She asks her to say that Lakshmi wanted to seek her revenge from Malishka by killing Kiran, and the flashback ends. Rishi tells Malishka that the police is coming and says you should tell them now who is behind the accident. Neelam comes there and asks that where did you go? Malishka cried and Neelam gives her strength and she asks that why was she silent and says I will punish the guilty one and she asks her to pull herself together. Rishi says to Malishka that I will send the person that did this to jail for all their life and Neelam says just tell us the person's name. Malishka asks really? She says will you really support me? Neelam says yes and says I will not forgive the person. Malishka says I don't know how to say the person's name and Neelam says I will see how to get the guilty punished and Rishi asks Malishka to tell them the person's name. Lakshmi thinks if Ayush was right, she thinks if this is what Priyanka meant when she says that trouble is coming her way. Shalu comes there and asks Lakshmi that why are you worried? Lakshmi tells Shalu about Kiran's accident and Shalu says everything will be fine and says we will pray to God for Kiran. Shalu asks Lakshmi about Rishi. Lakshmi says Rishi is with Malishka because the circumstances is such that warrant Rishi to be with Malishka, so he should be with her. Lakshmi goes to bring juice for Shalu, and Shalu thinks that she doesn't trust Malishka to be alone with Rishi, but Lakshmi is too naive. The inspector asks Rishi about Malishka. Rishi says she is Malishka, Kiran's daughter. Malishka says sorry Rishi, now I have to tell the police the truth. She says because Neelam auntie and you are with me, then I should tell the police, but I am so sorry about this. Everyone asks Malishka that why are you sorry? The inspector asks Malishka to tell them the truth. Malishka says I was away by the time and when I reached there, that person, she stops and she asks Neelam and cries. Neelam asks that whom did you see that caused Kiran's accident? Malishka says that person was Lakshmi and Rishi is shocked. Okay guys, thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to check the comment section for the link to the next episode once I drop it. Then I'll see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.